What's up, everybody? Today we are doing an analysis video of the Marvel's Avengers gameplay overview trailer. We're going to be taking a deep dive into some of the ways you can customize your characters, some of the outfits you can have, as well as the way missions may work, coming right up. So to start off this analysis video, I want to start off with a look at the outfits you can have for Iron Man. And I think one of the coolest ones we have is one of the first ones they show off here with what looks to be what I first thought was kind of riot gear, but I actually think it's the suit that he wears when he's first building kind of the iconic suit that he has later in just the Marvel universe. And so it kind of seems like he has one of the gloves on. He has a helmet that maybe has his initial sort of HUD, you know, his heads up display there, and some sort of mechanical gear as he's sort of welding up what he's eventually going to have. And so maybe this is what you start off with in the game. Maybe this is what you have when you're kind of building other suits. Who completely knows where you get this? But if you remember that iconic scene in the MCU where he's kind of testing it out, jamming out to classic rock, gets himself slammed up against the ceiling, it kind of reminds me sort of that. One of the other suits we have in the game is the original Sin armor from the comic books, and the interesting thing about this piece of gear is it's called a legendary outfit. And so we see different rarities later in the trailer, such as rare, uncommon, and even some purple gear that we don't really know what that is. But it seems like through all of the descriptions of these outfits, every single outfit is purely cosmetic. And so you can have these outfits, later customize your skills and your gear, and then just have the way you want to look, which is really nice for those of you that maybe play Destiny. It's kind of a little piece of contention going on right there where people have certain gear that they like, but they can't necessarily look the way they want. And then you have transmogrification, or I think I'm saying that right, who knows, it's a crazy word, transmogging, and other games like World of Warcraft where you can have your costumes and then the gear you want. And so with this system, kind of similar to Fortnite, which I know a lot of people in the comment section don't like when I mention Fortnite, you're able to have the way you look without necessarily affecting the way you play. And it's really nice because then they could eventually probably sell different outfits maybe, or have events where you can get different outfits where if you miss out on that, it's not going to necessarily hurt your character. And so while we have the original Sin outfit here, we also have a look at a few others. The Star Boost armor we saw used in outer space in one scene in one of the original trailers for the game looks super cool and is classified as rare. One of my personal favorites here, we have a look at the prototype armor, which looks to be the original armor that Iron Man wore when he came out of the cave. You know, Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. You know, you kind of have that outfit here, which looks super dope, super legit. I'm a huge fan of it, and I probably actually may use it a lot. I kind of like those more neutral tones. Looks pretty cool, and I love the rust and the sort of scratches all over it. And then last but not least, we have the iconic armor here, which oddly enough is classified as a rare outfit, although the original Sin one is legendary. And this one has the red, the gold, and the kind of small little eyes that we've seen in all of the trailers. And so this is the last option you have here. This is kind of nice because you get a closer look at the Iron Man original Sin outfit there. And once again, I just love the color scheme for this outfit. We've actually been getting continuous iterations of how Thor is going to look, including alternate outfits. But they've also been updating his hair, beard, facial structures with pretty much all of the characters. But I think Thor is looking exceptionally sweet. Just got to do a shout out to Hulk in this suit here. Looks completely awesome. But moving forward, we get a look at our gear menu. And the cool thing about this gear menu is we get just a look at the whole game, really, and see how we're going to play this thing. And so we have objectives, skills, gear, appearance customization, collections, and a roster. And then immediately at the top left of the screen, we get a look at customizable usernames, probably your PSN or, you know, your Xbox gamer tag, depending on where you're playing. And then a custom emblem, which you're familiar with Call of Duty or Destiny or games like that. You can always have your custom emblem, which is pretty cool. Looks like this person is repping the original Sin outfit there, as well as a level, a general level, but then a power level, which once again, I'm going to be making lots of comparisons to the game Destiny. But in Destiny, you have your light level or power level, which as you get better gear, you then have a higher power level. And so as you can see here, the best example is these gauntlets are 26 gear power. And the nice thing about this for most of these kind of online games is you could potentially then make another character and transfer gear around and get really high gear really fast without necessarily being a certain level and things like that. And so really important to pay attention to those two levels. And then we also have a look at different melee stats, range, defense, and heroic abilities. Now, Melee, ranged, and defense seems to be shared among all of the heroes, but the heroic one is where you start getting unique. And so I believe with Iron Man, it's his sort of repulsor beams and what I'm blanking, his arc reactor, his unibeam on his chest is kind of his unique ability. And so you would assume that the heroic skill set for Thor would be his hammer, for Captain America would be his shield. I think I said Captain American there, but you know, we're just talking fast. And then you also have a look at melee gear here. And so one of the initial pieces of armor we see is the Nightfire Strike gauntlets, which are uncommon and give you some power, fortitude, and then interestingly enough, you start getting unique perks with your character. And so you have a chance on headshots to trigger an explosive AoE burst. And for those of you that don't know, AoE means area of effect, which covers a wide range with damage. And you can update that with your resources, such as Silicate here, which you have 50 out of 207. And where you can see your resources is actually down at the bottom left. You have a whole bunch, 207, 209, 202. And so as you get different resources in the game, you can unlock different perks, which is super exciting that you can have all this customization. And then going back to the outfits, you can kind of make your hero look the way you want them to look. Also kind of cool, as you look at your gear, Iron Man's directly reacting to it, kind of pulling it up on his arm there. Super cool little effect. I think they're going to do a ton of fan service with this game. We also have a look at the ranged gear in the game, including a look at the advanced RT node, which interestingly enough, you can see is produced by Stark Industries. And we're later going to get a look at one produced by PIM Technologies. And the interesting thing with this is we don't know if that maybe gives you a boost overall if you have all Stark Industries or all PIM Technologies, or maybe it's just sort of a vanity thing, once again going in lines with fan service. But you get a couple perks with this one, including area of effect damage with the Nightfire, but you can also unlock with 272 Regent here, the ability to defeating enemies will grant critical ranged attacks and a temporary damage buff. And so you can really get into the weeds with this, and eventually it seems like you can develop characters that maybe offer more support, or maybe are more tanky characters, or maybe go in and just do straight DPS, damage per second, sort of attacks. And it's going to be really awesome to kind of have that ability to customize your character. We also have a look at some of the heroic gear, where you have the reactor coil, the brazen reactor coil. Once again, taking damage creates an area of effect burst that stuns enemies using isotopes now to upgrade this gear. And so you'd assume some of the gameplay grind is going to be going out and getting these resources to then update your gear or upgrade your gear and unlock more abilities to then go out and do tougher missions. And that's going to kind of be the continuous grind. The exciting thing is with all the different heroes and with all the different gear, you can imagine the gameplay grind is going to be able to go on for quite a bit with these different missions, where you're going out, hunting down different targets, things like that, to eventually get all the gear to make your ideal Iron Man or your ideal Thor. We also get a look at the Vario Beam Accelerator, which when you enter low health, you can gain a health burst, and you can also unlock the ability to take damage and grant a temporary defense buff. So a great option if you're maybe a tank out there. For those of you that don't know, tanks in MMO games are people that go out there, take the brunt of the damage while everyone else can do additional damage to the main target. And so if you're Iron Man out there on the front lines taking damage, you'll get a health burst, and you can maybe improve your defense as you're taking all this damage. But this is the one that I was pointing out is produced by PIM Technologies, which we don't know what that means quite yet. I do want to point out that there's the Avengers and looks like shield credits at the top right. We don't know if those are used to update gear, or maybe they're used for, you know, different sort of, you know, currencies to buy different gears, things like that. We also have some artifact slots and the ability to equip your best gear if you're just kind of someone that wants to get in there, grab a loadout, and go back out into the battlefield. Moving on, we have a look at the skills, which is a little bit different than the gear we were equipping, and we have primary, specialty, capability, and utility skills. And with Iron Man specifically, you have melee, repulsor, laser, and rocket. And the first one we get a look at here is the laser sweep ability, which with the precision laser equipped, you can press triangle a few times to then do a sweeping beam that cuts through enemies. And so it looks like as you upgrade lasers, you can eventually get the damage higher, the impact higher, and things like that. And we don't know if this is sort of like a developer build, but it looks like this doesn't cost any skill points, but you have 4 available to yourself. You can later update the laser sweep ability to be the laser scythe, which then looks like it pulls people in the air to then do damage where you slam them down. So ability to kind of pull targets close, which once again can be good when you're in a team and someone's attacking maybe one of your weaker teammates. You can pull them towards you and slam them down. Good for kind of crowd control. So we don't know if maybe lasers are more for crowd control or things like that, but kind of interesting to have those unique abilities. Well, what I would hope for is that you have limited skill points, and so you have maybe an Iron Man that's more of a melee Iron Man compared to someone who maybe has a more laser-focused Iron Man, kind of have that customization, which could be really cool. And then tabbing over to the specialty abilities, we have a look at support, assault, ultimate, and defense, with a little sneak peek here at what smart rockets are, where you can tap the triggers and spread seeking rockets that target up to 5 enemies, and rockets inflict collateral damage on detonation, and they also have a reaction to maybe cause flyback, which we don't know if that pushes people back or what. But once again, a good ability to maybe, you know, break enemies' blocks. You know, if someone has a tough shield, or, you know, maybe people come out with riot gear or something, you can just break through their shield and allow the rest of your team to go in and kind of finish the job, which is super hype, super legit. Once again, just showing that this game has a ton of customization. Moving forward here, we kind of have a look at our missions menu. We have the Operation Reassemble Helicarrier Division, with a few different regions available to us, such as the Northwest Wilderness, the Helicarrier, the American Southwest, and these numbers next to them. And we don't know what these numbers necessarily mean, because it says here missions 5 available, and we don't know if that means that there's 5 missions available. We don't know if that means you have to be level 5 to have the missions available, and we don't even necessarily know what these icons mean underneath each region, because underneath the American Southwest region here, we have the Black Widow symbol, but later on in the actual selection of that region, we also see symbols for the Avengers and different strikes and things like that. And so, kind of confusing different menu system here, but basically safe to say that we do have tons of different areas to explore. You know, you have the American Southwest, but then it looks like you're kind of getting up in Canada there or something. I don't know what's going on. I don't know my regions. And then you got something way off, you know, just off the coast. We don't even know where that is. Just a helicarrier out in the ocean. And so you're going to be exploring the world here, which is really cool. And we also have a look at the Anthill Outpost, which you would assume Hank Pym is hanging out there, which is kind of cool. When you select into the American Southwest, you get a look here at about 8 different icons, and you have the Black Widow symbol up there, but you also have the Avengers over here to the left, which is a campaign mission. Then it looks like you have Hank Pym's outpost in the middle, as well as a few different strikes around the map. And so we're not too sure what these icons mean, but definitely plenty of stuff to do in these different regions. If you select the Avengers icon, you get yourself a breakout campaign mission. And the mission description says that Dr. Pym has identified the location of an AIM holding facility. The Avengers need to go in, break out captured resistance fighters before they're moved to a new location. And with these missions, you get rare or random gear, probably depending on the difficulty and how well and how fast you complete the mission. So you'd assume then that if you want to get better gear, you could replay these campaign missions, or maybe some of these campaign missions around the map are also replayable. As someone who comes from a Destiny background, you have story missions, strikes, raids, dungeons, things like that. And so that's kind of how you do the gameplay grind here. Seems to be very inspired by that sort of MMO strategy. Moving the cursor over to that kind of strike in the middle, we have ourselves When Walks the Dreadbot, which is a high-value target mission. Agent Garza, I'm not too sure how to say that, would like to get a closer look at AIM's infamous Dreadbot, and while the Avengers take it down, she'll analyze its combat moves and find a weakness the Resistance can exploit. You also get random and rare gear from this mission as well. So kind of cool that you have high-value targets, but also campaign. You would assume the high-value target ones could maybe be special events. You could have maybe like a Christmas event or something, or a Halloween event where a different high value target appears, maybe something that they could kind of have some fun with. We get a real quick look when you select When Walks the Dreadbot. You kind of can see your strike team up top. It looks like Black Widow's about to go in and solo this mission. And then you also have some icons down here that say the mission's starting in 5 seconds, and that's pretty much all you can do. You can cancel the launch if you want, but it looks like you can have up to 4 people in a team, which we may or may not have already known, but just kind of a nice visual confirmation of it there. Just look how freaking tall she is, and she's waving goodbye to that guy she just yeeted. Super cool that they just, each character seems to kind of have their own abilities, and they're really not shying away from having Miss Marvel with the ability to just become freaking huge, which is super hype, super legit. And then we end out the whole trailer with the release date of May 15th, 2020. So just a few months away. The game's coming out at the start of summer, which is going to be really nice to kind of get in here, do these missions, and play with these characters. It later goes on to say that early access or a beta access is available to PlayStation players. And all of this trailer was shown on PlayStation. So super hype, super legit. With PlayStation 5 coming out, you would assume that there's going to kind of be some crossover with the launch there. And it seems like they're going to be supporting this game for many years to come with new heroes, new expansions. I would assume Miss Marvel's kind of the main hero of the initial launch campaign, but who knows what else they could add. Maybe even adding in like Spider-Man with the release of Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation. lots of other Avengers and Marvel heroes to explore. And I'm personally just so freaking stoked for this game. I think this game is going to be an absolutely amazing time. The more I see of it, the more excited I get. You can also watch my reaction to the Miss Marvel trailer and this trailer, the game's overview trailer, kind of in real time. I had all that reaction over on my YouTube channel. But like I said, the more I see this, the more I see the customization, the gear, the skills, the abilities, the outfits, and everything. I mean, we just saw like, what, 4 or 5 Iron Man outfits there. We've seen a lot of Thor and Hulk and things like that. I'm assuming there's just going to be more and more outfits coming, and Marvel Games has done a great job at supporting like Marvel Ultimate Alliance with additional free costumes as well as paid costumes, and so I think this game is going to have a lot of life in it. The real thing is, it's just going to be if it's fun to play, but we know like the God of War, Kratos, Leviathan Axe, combat designer is working on Thor and kind of helping with other characters. It seems like from the gameplay we've seen, characters kind of have unique play sets, and so I imagine it's going to be pretty fun to play, and the story, the visuals, everything just gets better and better the more we see it. So let me know down in the comment section below, are you looking forward to the Marvel's Avengers game? Are you excited for the release date coming up? Are you going to be playing the beta? Are you going to be playing the game when it launches? Just let me know all of your thoughts, opinions, and hype down in the comment section below. While you're down there, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends. Let's see if we can get this YouTube channel growing as we lead into the Avengers launch. Could be super hyped to have that support going into the game's release. I'll talk to you guys down there, but until next time, bye!